What's up, FA Nation? I hope you're having an awesome day today. I know I am. I'm here with everyone's favorite NASCAR writer and MLB prospect writer from Fantasy Alarm, Matt Selz. What's up, Matt?
Oh, just another busy week for NASCAR. It's kind of crazy the way they're packing these races in here. I used to
Yeah.
think it was going to be exciting, but now with the workload, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, and here I am dragging you into another video with me, but you know you love it. You love being here with me, right?
Oh yes.
All right, good stuff. Well, we'll have some fun today. We're going to do another episode of 5 on 5. For those of you who haven't seen it before, what we do is we have 5 questions for our guest. So 5 questions for Matt, and he gets 5 minutes to answer in whatever way he wants to, but he only gets 5 minutes. And if he keeps talking past 5 minutes, he will get a buzzer that sounds something like this. Beep! If he doesn't use his 5 minutes, then he opens up the floor to more questions from yours truly. So, are you ready, Matt, for today's edition of 5 on 5?
Yes, I am ready.
All right, I'm going to go right in with the good stuff because I know that's why people tuned in today. I want to know, how will fatigue play a role in the Coca-Cola 600 on Sunday with so many races being crunched into a very short period of time?
So, ordinarily, it's still going to be the longest race of the NASCAR season. The Coca-Cola 600. The 600 stands for miles that they're going to race. That's right, 600-mile race around a 1.5-mile track, which means they're running 400 laps. So it's traditionally the longest race of the season. However, they usually have an all-star race leading up to it, which is only half the field runs it. It's like 70 something laps. It's not for anything but like $1 million. Um, and then there's a race like 2 weeks before it, basically. So, um, normally you've got at least a week and a half to physically get ready for, for the race. And if those of you doubt how like strenuous this is, an average race can cost a driver 10 pounds. Okay, they can
Wow.
lose 10 pounds over the course of a race because
I just took up race car driving. Did you
you
see that?
because you're sitting there, you're fully wrapped in a fire suit, you've got
Yeah,
gloves on, you're sitting in a hot car because let's keep in mind there's no air conditioning. You're essentially
right,
sitting right next to the engine,
right.
and it gets pretty toasty. I mean, these guys, they'll show the temps on their feet, and it's like well over 100 degrees at their feet. So you're toasty, you're in a helmet, there's not a lot of airflow, and it's not like you're on a Sunday drive for 600 miles. You're racing at 200 miles an hour with 40 other people who may or may not be in control of their car at any given moment. So it's
Yeah.
pretty stressful. So the fact that they came back from a 2 month, break in the middle of the season, and then they raced on Sunday at Darlington, and then they raced on Wednesday or Thursday, depending on, rainouts for Darlington, and then they're going to come back and do a 600-mile race on Sunday. I think it's going to take a toll. Even the most fit drivers, and a lot of them are really fit. They do, they run a lot, they bike a lot, do all this stuff. I think even the fittest of drivers, the last 100 miles of that race is going to be an absolute battle. And rookies, I usually don't play rookies to begin with because they never race anything that long. And now they're going to have 3 races in the course of a week. That's a lot of mileage for a rookie to deal with. So, you're talking, let's see, it's a 600-mile race on Sunday. They raced 500 miles at Darlington the previous Sunday. That's 1,100 miles. And they're doing about 300 miles in the middle of the week. So you've got 1,400 miles in a race car in a week. That's quite a lot.
So if I'm building a DFS lineup, you would advise staying away from the rookie drivers for this
Yes. Yeah, I typically fade the rookies under normal circumstances. I'm definitely
one.
fading the rookies under these circumstances, which stinks because I do like a lot of the rookies that are up this year. It's a pretty talented rookie class, but they're just not used to driving for that long in a race car.
So who's your favorite for this one?
For the Coke 600, I'm gonna have to go with the guys that are the most fit. So Jimmy Johnson is known for his fitness. He always has a bike with him. He's always biking around the tracks. Like he will do a 40-mile bike ride the day before the race, and
Okay.
he'll do like a
That sounds like he
5K,
would be exhausted.
or he'll do like a 5K or a 10K the morning of the
Whoa.
race. Yeah, no, he is in ridiculously good shape. And keep in mind, this is
Okay.
a guy who's like 42, 43 years old. So
Wow.
he's in really, really good shape. Kevin Harvick is in really good shape. Eric Almirola loves to keep himself in shape. A guy that doesn't get a lot of talking about, Matt DiBenedetto. That's right, we're talking to you there, Guido Nation. That guy is an absolute gym freak. Like, he is, like, if he wasn't a race car driver, you would probably think he's an NFL wide receiver. Like, he's that jacked. So I'll probably focus on those guys. They're pretty fit, and fitness has a key role in a race that long.
All right. So any sleeper picks that you see could be sneaking in?
Um, Kyle Busch is always a guy. Like, I didn't want to exclude him. He's always a guy who could win. He's not really a sleeper. Martin Truex Jr. has absolutely dominated this race 2 of the last 3 years. In fact, I think 3 years ago he led 392 of 400 laps. So doesn't get much more dominant than that. But sleepers, let's toss out there a guy who hasn't done so well this year, Daniel Suarez.
Okay.
I think he could do pretty well. He's actually had pretty good success at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And he's a guy who's also really in shape. So I kind of like Daniel Suarez for a sleeper.
That's your 5 minutes. All right. Daniel Suarez is possibly a sneaky pick for Sunday. And be sure you get fit drivers because it does sound like you're going to need it. Wow. It's a lot going on at one time for NASCAR. I have to say, though, I'm a little jealous because my favorite sport, MLB, is not yet back yet.
It's still my favorite sport.
It's still your favorite sport? All right.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about that just for a minute. I want to know, you do these incredible prospect reports for us at Fantasy Alarm. You know the rookies inside and out as well as the farm system. I want to know which MLB rookies you would be targeting now that we may have an 82-game season, if any at all.
So it's an interesting question because originally you think, well, are teams going to burn roster spots for rookies in a shortened season? Because if they're up for, I don't remember exactly the service time, but if they're up for a chunk of the season, it counts as a full year of MLB service,
Right.
which then reduces how long they can hold on to the player going down, going down a few years. So it's an interesting question to think about because originally you go, yeah, I'm not going to get involved with a rookie. There's not enough sample time. If they stink, then there's not enough time to correct. But the more I think about it, I actually think rookies are going to be undervalued in the draft because now the plans that are coming out, teams might have a 30 guy roster.
Right.
So you're going to have to fill it in with minor leaguers who may or may not have already had experience. So going off that, and there's rumors they may still expand the playoffs at this point. I don't know if that'll happen, but if they expand the playoffs, more teams are in contention. So a team like Toronto comes to mind because Nate Pearson may in fact be worthwhile in that rotation because depending on how the schedule comes out, they might need 6-man rotations.
Right.
You could play him in a 6-man rotation, and if they're trying to make the playoffs in, let's say, an extended 14-team playoff, Toronto's got the offense to compete. Their pitching has always been the problem. So if you bring up a big dude with a bunch of nasty stuff like Nate Pearson, who is arguably the best pitching prospect in baseball at the moment, that's a guy who you could see getting some value. Any rookie second baseman for Colorado is in play at this point. Garrett Hampson, I think, still counts as a rookie. Even if he doesn't, there's Brendan Rodgers, who was coming off an injury, but now should be good because he's had an extended period of time to heal.
Sam Hilliard.
Sam Hilliard is another great example who could play a multitude of positions. So they've got a bunch they could do there in Colorado. Miami is an intriguing option because they're rebuilding. They've got some guys who probably could have come up last year if they really wanted to, both on pitching and offense. So there's some intriguing guys there. Like Sixto Sanchez could possibly come up in a shortened season and get a test run. He's got some pretty good stuff. He was the key piece the Phillies gave up to get JT Realmuto a couple of seasons ago. And then we'll round this out with a guy from my World Series champs, Washington Nationals, Carter Kieboom. Guy is going to get playing time. He was slated to be fighting for the starting third base position at the start of, when the season should have started in April. I don't see any reason why that should change at this point, and especially if they have the universal DH. If his
Right.
defense is causing problems, which is what it did when he first came up for 11 games last year to replace the injured Trey Turner, stick him at DH and let him figure out his offense, because the guy's got some pop, he's got some speed, he's got a pretty good hit tool. There's a reason why he's a top 15 prospect in baseball. So Carter Keyboom is a guy who should get playing time all over the diamond. They can play him at second base. They probably won't play him at shortstop because you got Trey Turner. You could play him at third base where there's a clear opening, and you could DH him as well. So we'll round it out with Carter Keyboom as an interesting guy.
Yeah, I think what's interesting to me is the people that were maybe going to platoon. If they're going to have a 30-man roster, it seems like why not take a risk on those guys? And so
Gavin Lux also still counts as a rookie.
That was a question I was going to ask
Gavin
you
Lux
too,
still counts as a rookie for the Dodgers.
Yeah, and that seems like a good option. And if they are putting in extra games per week, I'm thinking, these guys could get enough plate appearances, even in a platoon situation, to make it valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that also affects veterans that were in platoon positions?
I think it could, depending on the DH is going to go through. The players basically unanimously agree that they want the DH. All they got to do is decide how much money they should be paid for this season. But veterans, like if we're sticking with the Dodgers, you've got like 6 outfielders out there. So A.J. Pollock and Jock Peterson, you put one of them as a DH and one of them in left field, and whenever there's a lefty on the mound, you switch them. So that, you don't have to play Jock against a lefty. Gavin Lux could DH, could play second base. They could use him at short in a pinch as well. Dave Roberts is a mastermind at manipulating his lineup, kind of like Joe Madden is.
Yep.
So if we want to move to the other LA team, there are some interesting options there in left field, like Joe Adell, who could probably come up.
I like that name, Joe Adell. You guys look up Joe Adell. All right, so let's just switch gears and do something kind of fun for a little bit, because we're in quarantine and we still are getting to know each other here. I want to know, you can do that. I want you to give me one sports player and also just one thing that you used to hate, but now you've changed your mind.
Okay, so we're going to start with the one thing that I used to hate, and that is something that actually employs you and a bunch of the staff at FA. That would be Sirius and satellite radio. When it first came out, I legitimately had no idea why people would pay for radio that you could just get FM stations for free, and you put up with the commercials, whatever, but I'm not paying for radio. Like, that doesn't seem like a thing.
Right.
Like, it's just floating out there in the air. You just got to put an antenna in and listen. Then I moved to the Midwest, and my family is in the East Coast, and I took a bunch of road trips, and it really sucks to keep having to hit the scan button every county because you lost the station that was playing the songs you liked. So with SiriusXM, I don't have to ever change the station when I'm driving, cross country. Like, I drove back to Atlantic City a couple of years ago for my baseball draft. Drove from Lincoln, Nebraska, the background shows you what it looks like, to Atlantic City, New Jersey. And I never had to change from MLB Network Radio the entire time. So I got to prep for my draft the entire time I'm in the car, because they're just playing 30 clubs in 30 days or whatever it is. So I used to really not get Sirius XM radio, and then I moved out here, and now I understand it.
Well, I never thought about that, but that's awesome. And by the way, I swear this is not a commercial for Sirius XM, but they are streaming for free through the end of May.
Yes.
So if you want to just try it out, you can do it the app, online, and in your car. Free.
And then a sports player that I used to not like.
It could be a team if you'd rather.
No, I'm pretty staunch against the teams that I dislike. Let's go with, we're going to go with another one that's close to your heart here.
Okay.
Despite the alleged cheating scandal that he's involved in. Jose Altuve. I have a thing, even though I'm not very big, I'm not a tall guy, I'm like 5'8" on a good day. And I have aspirations of being like this great baseball player. I do not like short baseball players. Like David Eckstein drove me
Okay.
nuts because it looked like he had to throw his
Yeah.
entire right arm to make the throw from short to first base. It just, I don't know why, it just drives me nuts to see the
Yeah.
short guys just, it's just weird. I don't know why. My wife can't explain it either. I don't know. But so Jose Altuve is in that mold. He's pretty short. He's like 5'6".
Yeah, he's pretty short.
But he changed my mind because that guy is like, he's got all the pop you would expect a bigger dude to have. He's got wheels you would expect the shorter guy to have. So when he first came up, I was like, oh, the Astros are just signing a short dude who plays middle infield. He's probably going to be a fourth or fifth like infielder, whatever. And then, nope, I'm wrong. He's an MVP. And say what you will about the potential cheating thing. There's no proof that he did it or didn't do it. We won't relitigate that. But yeah, Jose Altuve kind of changed my mind on the short baseball player.
I feel you. Like when he first came up and everyone's like, oh, Houston has this like short player and he's okay. And I was like, oh, everybody's just talking about him because he's short.
However, I still dislike Dustin Pedroia.
Yeah, I'm not a big Dustin Pedroia fan
Plus,
either.
his
I'm not.
nickname is annoying. The Laser Show? Come on now.
Yeah, no.
Because he hit
Can we talk?
lasers over the big monster. That's why the Green Monster.
Yeah, no, that's just dumb.
Plus, I'm also a Yankees fan. I just don't like the Red Sox inherently.
I've never been a Dustin Pedroia fan,
Nope.
but I didn't think it had to do with him being short. I just think.
No, that's just a weird quirk on my end. Like, I just don't like for a short guy to not like short athletes, it's not like a jealous thing. It's just, I just don't.
But you know what's funny?
Weird.
I've only ever dated really tall guys, like 6 feet or taller, which isn't fair to me because I actually am a short fantasy analyst. If you guys didn't know, I'm diminutive. I just have a very large personality. But that's interesting. So Sirius XM is something you changed your mind on. I agree. I have changed my mind on that too. I didn't get it either. Just like I didn't get internet radio, Pandora. I didn't get Spotify.
Yeah, see, now I pay for Spotify and I stream everything and I don't own music and whatever. But like,
right.
That I understood because it's accessible everywhere as opposed to you having to have a CD player or,
right.
Whatever. But yeah, the radio thing was just like, what? Like, why would you pay for something that's streaming through the air everywhere?
Yeah, it makes sense. All right, that was good. All right, 5 minutes on things that we changed our mind on. Sirius XM Radio and short baseball players, namely Jose Altuve. Love it. All right, so let's go back to MLB for another minute because I've just got to keep getting all the information I can from you. So we now know that the MLB Draft is going to be drastically changed. You know, the NFL, they have their great televised draft. Everything's going on. We're all rooting for it at home. MLB, we're cutting it to 5 rounds. And you know what, Matt? I'm just going to let you just go. Just say whatever you want to say. I know you got a lot to say. Just, this is your platform. Go.
Yeah. I hate this decision. I think it's the dumbest, most short-sighted decision Rob Manfred, who I believe is trying to kill baseball to begin with, could have possibly made. I get it. There was no scouting time because every baseball season everywhere at every level was canceled. Hell, this is the first year there's not going to be a Little League World Series in August. That's already been canceled. That's really devastating to me because I really enjoy watching the Little League World Series. But there's no high school baseball. There was
Even
no college.
though you don't like short baseball players?
Well, this is different. They're kids. They haven't. Plus, you get the who was the guy a couple of years ago who was like, I'm big whatever and I hit like dingers. He was just this beefy kid. It's like 12 years old. He goes, my name is Johnny and I hit dingers. Like, that guy's awesome. So there was no high school baseball. There was no travel team baseball. There's no college baseball. So I get it. Your scouts weren't out on the road since like early March. Okay. However, if you scour Twitter, you don't even have to scour Twitter. If you just pay attention to Twitter, like Pitching Ninja's feed, there are kids throwing bullpen sessions all over the place. Like, you can't get video of that and use it to scout people. The NFL did it with pro days. None of them went to pro days. They all had video sent to them, and they looked at it on video. They didn't shrink their draft either because they couldn't have it in person. It was still 7 rounds. To put this in perspective, the MLB draft is normally 40 rounds. This would be akin to the NFL going, okay, everybody gets the first round pick, and then we're done.
Right.
Like, they cut it by 80%. It'd be akin to the NBA going, okay, the first 8 picks of the draft, and then we're done. Like, this is stupid. You can't build depth. for teams. There are tons of teams that rely on drafting really good prospects and developing them in order to compete. The Orioles do it, the Rays do it, the Marlins do it, Toronto does it, your Astros do it, Padres. Like, I could keep going. The Pirates. There are tons of teams that rely on this draft in order to fill their farm system, and now they can't do it. That's one thing. Another thing is, this is like the deepest draft in like the last 2 decades. Like, there is a huge amount of talent in this draft class. And now you're going to limit it to 5 rounds of draftable guys, and then you're going to cap the free agent signing at $20,000. So nobody's going to want to sign. Like, if I'm a high school kid that doesn't get drafted, why am I going to sign for $20,000 when I can go for a free ride to college, go get an education, and still play? It's not like there's a big difference between college and minor league baseball and what you get paid, because the minor leagues don't get paid anything. To put this in perspective, if you are the first pick in the 6th round, your signing amount is $350,000. If you're the last pick in the 10th round, it's $125,000. So you're going to make it minimum $105,000 less than you would had you gotten drafted. If you're a college senior and you don't get drafted now, you may as well just go into your career, because your salary is going to pay you more than $20,000. So I think this is going to kill baseball for generations of kids. Like, the next generation of kids is going to go, well, look, the NFL managed to hold their draft in the middle of a pandemic. They're still paying people the same amount of money. They're likely going to have a season. They're not fighting over who gets paid what or whatever, even though there's probably not going to be any fans. So, in terms of baseball trying to compete with the NBA and the NFL, this is going to lose it. Like, if I'm a high school kid and I play 2 different sports, I'm going football. I'm no longer going baseball.
If you're Kyler Murray, you're definitely going football, which he did.
He did. And people were like, well, you're going to get a longer career, and me included. I'm like, you're going to get a longer career as an outfielder in baseball, and over the long run, you'll get more guaranteed money playing baseball. However, he gets more guaranteed money up front playing football. And even if it's, let's say he washes out in 4 years, which nobody expects to happen. Mm-hmm. But let's say he does. He's 25 years old. He could go back and join AA for the A's and go play another 10 years in baseball. Not inconceivable. But now, if you're a guy like that and you're not going to get drafted in the first 5 rounds, why are you going to go baseball? They're not going to sign you for anything. It's just incredibly short-sighted and incredibly stupid.
Are you worried about the future of the quality of the game for us as fans?
Yeah, because especially, let's say you're an Astros fan. I don't want to keep harping on this, but they do have, this is really going to affect them because they still lose their first 2 picks in this draft. They now get to take 3 players. That's it.
Beep. All right. Yeah. There's a lot. There's
not even a rotation.
This pandemic has brought up so many issues that are going to affect sports, not just for this. We talk a lot about this season and getting them back on the field now, what we want to do now, but this is going to have, repercussions going forward. And I don't think we can even understand all that it's going to affect going forward. So those points are just really great. And we're just going to, unfortunately, have to see how it all turns out. And I hope that, I just hope that all these sports do the best they can by everybody that is working so hard. And for the fans, too. So we'll see. All right, last question, Matt Selz. If you could be famous for any one thing, what would that one thing be?
If I could be famous for any one thing. Well, aside from being an award-winning NASCAR writer.
Well, but you already are famous.
Which I already am an award-winning NASCAR writer. Not to toot my own horn, but I do have hardware to go.
Back to back, baby.
That's true. I would want to be famous. We have talked about this before. I would want to be famous for being a GM of a baseball team.
Okay, so but is that famous?
Brian Cashman.
GM's really okay. You're right. Brian Cashman is famous.
Jim Bowden's pretty fam's.
Yeah, Jim Bowden's famous, mostly because he gets to host with Howard Bender. But
okay, but you've got a lot of quote unquote celebrity GMs that people know. Around, not just in baseball, but like if I said Brian Cashman, basically everybody knows who Brian Cashman is. That could be because he's been in the job for like 20-something years, 25 years. But yeah, I mean, you can't, like, you're never going to reach, like, LeBron or Kobe or MJ status being a GM. But, like, I don't really want that status. Like, that just seems like a
Okay.
burden.
So you
So,
want like that kind of status where you're like the actor. You're not George Clooney, but you're that actor that's been in everybody's
yeah,
movie, but
you're that
nobody
guy
actually
from
knows your
that
name.
thing.
Yeah, and you've
Which,
like
by the
made
way,
a
is a
good
great
living the whole time.
documentary. If you
That
can
guy.
find it, there is a documentary called That Guy from That Thing that talks about all the little character actors that fill roles that you just
Right,
see pop up in all these movies, and you're like, I know that
right.
guy. He's from
But
that thing.
have you noticed like the janitor from Scrubs? If you go back
Hmm.
and watch old movies from the 80s and 90s, he's in every freaking movie. He's
We
in Wall Street. He's in The
yes,
Fugitive. He's in like every freaking movie.
we will be watching movies, and my favorite TV series of all time is The West Wing. Make of
I
that
like that.
what you will, but
Makes sense. Yeah.
it's The West Wing. I've watched it start to finish 8 or 9 times at this point. Um,
Wow.
I mean, it's streaming on Netflix. You can watch the whole thing in order on Netflix. Um, and so now, when we're watching something, I'll go, I know where that person's from. And then Jackie, my wife, will go, let me guess, they're from West Wing. Like,
That's
we
me.
play, she always connects people to another, like a Disney show or something, and I'm going to, like, straight West Wing. But I'm like, there's so
Straight
many
to
bit parts in West Wing that, like,
There are. It's one of those shows. It's like Law and Order. When I was in New
yeah.
York working, and people were like, "Well, until you've been on Law and Order, we don't consider you a real actor because that's like everybody's on Law and Order. That's
Right,
just
and
the
then like
thing."
you'll look up these actors and they're like, okay, they did Law and
No,
Order
that doesn't
SVU,
count.
CSI New
Yeah,
York, like they just do the
yeah.
crime thing and move on. But like, yeah, I mean, I was watching a Law and Order SVU episode the other day, and it was about some, I guess, nursing home nurse that had actually been killing people with drugs. And it was interesting because I knew who the actress was because she plays the head, like the now I'm losing the name of the title, but like the head, oh, the Surgeon General of the United States. She plays that in West Wing.
In West Wing.
Right, so I'm like, you have the Surgeon General of the United States who is playing a role where she kills people on the other in Law and Order.
So
So
what you're saying is you don't even need 6 degrees of West Wing. It's not even as far
right,
removed
it's
as
just
Kevin Bacon.
nope,
It's just
it's not Kevin
straight
Bacon. Right.
to West Wing.
So I would want to be famous for being a GM because here's the thing: if you're famous for being a GM, that means you've done your job right. It means you're winning championships. It means you're tenured in your position. It means you're doing the things you're supposed to be doing to build your team and stay in the role.
That's a good point. Now, would you be willing to play yourself as a GM on a show such as West Wing?
No, I can't. I
No.
can't act.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Have you tried?
Yeah, like elementary school plays, it was not good.
Well,
Like I
it's
got
very
cast as
different
a
when
tree
you're
one
older.
time, and I think I failed. I don't know. Like it was not good.
You made like a tree and you had to leave.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Like they asked me to. It was that bad. Like I could.
Oh, I remember
I'm
when
not
I was
good.
in pre-K and I played the role of a carrot, and I basically believed I was a successful actor, and I think it was just because I was the only kid that could remember my 2 lines
Well, there
and
you go.
speak them out. I don't think it had.
See,
And
I
then
could
from then on,
memorize.
I
I
grew
could
up thinking I
memorize the
could act.
lines, but like I don't know that I could like emote or deliver them with. I could debate. I'm pretty good at debating, obviously.
Yeah.
And writing. But yeah, I want to be famous for being a GM. I think that'd be a pretty sweet gig, except for dealing with a 5-round MLB draft.
Except for that part. I think so too. All right. Well, I hope you get to be famous for being a GM, Matt Selz, because guess what? There's still time for that dream. Unlike a lot of these poor rookie MLB players or aspiring MLB players, that their dreams may have a little shorter window now. So we're hopeful that that will change in some way soon, and we'll be able to restock the system, that sports will be back. But you guys go out, read Matt's articles on NASCAR, read them on baseball, on the prospects, on the rookies. All these things are starting to come back, especially NASCAR, which
And
is
on
going.
June 10th, I will have live pick-by-pick analysis of the first round of the MLB draft.
And there you go. You do not want to miss that. So lots of great stuff. Hop over to fantasyalarm.com. Read all the articles by Matt Selz and by all our other fantastic writers. We got all kinds of stuff coming out for you all the time. Follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and now even on Twitch. Thanks for being here, and we will catch you next time.